Hi, I'm Dante, and this is GMing 101. Since this is the first episode, I'm going to start with explaining what GMing 101 is. Anyone can run a game, but it's a skill that you have to learn. You're going to screw up, sometimes badly. I'll share some of my own stories of that at some point. But with practice, asking questions, you'll get better. I've been running games for more than 25 years now, starting with 2nd edition Werewolf the Apocalypse, so I've had plenty of time to screw up and learn from it. So don't be shy, ask questions, and we can all bring some amazing stories to our players. Now, on with the show. Our first question is from Pretentious Possum on Twitter. They ask, do you have some kind of number one tip or general advice for DMing in the digital space that we're confined to nowadays? Since March of 2020, virtual tabletop systems like Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 have seen a massive resurgence just due to the fact that we can't get together to do our traditional tabletop games right now, and we're going to be remotely responsible and safe. So, thankfully, those tools have gotten rather robust now. I've spent a lot of time with Roll20. I've dabbled with Fantasy Grounds, but I haven't spent a whole lot of time with it, so I'll provide more information on that at a later date. But for now, what goes for any of these is play to the medium's strengths. Running a game via Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Tabletop Simulator, etc. lends itself to things that can actually enhance the experience for your players. Use DMs to pass notes instead of other players being able to see you passing a note. Give NPCs and monsters a picture on their sheet. A group chat can be used for character journals, covering downtime and characters learning new skills. Create a Spotify soundtrack for your game. Record sessions for players who can't make it to watch later to catch up. The possibilities are limitless, and the tools are cheap or free. Next up is Flounder by way of Twitter DM. How do you balance players who want different things from their games? Particularly combat versus role-playing and freeform versus linear. Okay, Flounder. Well, the biggest thing here is to bring it up in session 0. Get everyone together, have a talk about what everyone wants out of the game, and you can tailor things to that. Outside of that, have some extra stuff on hand. Did a big role-play scene last longer than expected? Have a pre-boot combat encounter so that you can slot that in, and people that are there to swing a sword get something in the session to do too. Freeform versus linear is a little bit thornier question, and that's really going to come down to the group and the GM's individual style. I plan to devote a full video to this at some point, but for now, aside from a vague outline, try not to plan things out more than a session or two in advance. So you've got room to improv as needed. And finally, Dingo is emailing to ask, is borrowing ideas considered plagiarism or in bad taste? Well, it really depends on the circumstances. Are you straight up running a module or a story that someone else wrote? Credit its creator, especially if the game is being publicly streamed. Other than that, though, steal. File the serial numbers off and weld it all together into your own unique monstrosity. For years, I borrowed characters from this show and that book and that old radio drama. Filed the serial numbers off, found a way for it to fit into the concept to fit into my world, and it's worked out great. And then there's smaller stuff that's just little cameos from other mediums because I'm a fan of the medium and my players are too. For instance, years ago I was running White Wolf's Orpheus, and the characters Rube and George from HBO's Dead Like Me made an appearance. Just, they fit the setting. And it was a fun little cameo. Okay, that's it for this episode, folks. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The interaction really helps us out. Send in your questions to me by Twitter DM at Dante_the_K9 or email me at infernogamingdm@gmail.com. That's Inferno with a U. Next up, we'll be sharing our first video review, so join me next week for 10th Circle Review's inaugural episode with 2002's Demon the Fallen.